Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, hold on. Let's skip that because that song is almost over. Man, my headphones still don't quite sound right. I need to get on replacing them. Anyways, let's come and look at the charts. I kind of feel like today is like not a real day, but we'll see. Okay, so on Friday, there was a bit of a, after a big spike there on the non-farms jobs report, which was just absolutely terrible. Man, it's so weird to think about that this was last Friday. It was a long weekend, okay? It was a long weekend. Terrible jobs numbers, big spike. We ended up lower in the treasuries. I don't know if that has anything to do with the jobs number, but that's kind of the way that the jobs numbers go these days, is that the initial spike seems correct and then it does something inexplicable and difficult to explain. S&P 500 still kind of struggling here. I think we could probably zoom in a little bit there, but they're still just kind of holding this below 5,800 range. Oil up again today. Still kind of feels like that one is normalizing. I don't know if they can really extend above that 72 though. I'm still a little Gold and silver, they took a beating after some of that craziness last week. Actually, that sell-off was not the non-farms. That was something else. I forgot what it was. One of those other numbers. Kappa. Man, look at that. Look at that sideways. Have you ever seen a commodity? Have you ever seen a commodity trade that tight for that long? I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's a little, especially for copper, because copper's been like a trending thing as of late. Well, let's not say as of late. Like over the past 5 years, there's been some trendy times. There's been some big moves and volatile times for them. Japanese yen, well, still recovering a little bit, doing okay. Dollar down a little bit, and the Bitcoin still off. Man, I mean so it was like when we were down in here, okay, below 60K, that was like a little bit dire. Then we got up to here, it was like okay, and then we breached through that and it was like, oh wow, this looks really good. And then they gave it up so quickly. I don't know if that means anything, but that's basically where we're at. And just a reminder, we do have our indicators up here in the top. I'm thinking that because I haven't had any more issues. Oh no, wait, I am having some issues because I'm not seeing anything with the resting orders. Well, this is why we have them on there. Okay. So first of all, I'm not getting any error output or anything like that. Why would it be those ones? Oh, no. Something is definitely wrong. Something's very, very wrong. Because none of my history is showing up. Okay. I have built in something to help us with this. And that is over in here under music, blog, verbos. Oh. curious. Something else is using it? That's weird. What would possibly be using it? I have the folder open. I don't know. Let's just close a bunch of those things and try it again. Is U.S. market opening or so the Treasury market is already open. The equity market will open in an hour. Yes, sorry, it was daylight savings time over the weekend, so everything's an hour back now. Yeah, I'm sure that's confusing for those of you guys in Europe. Oh, what could possibly be using the process? And why does that screw these two up, but not... No, well, it's screwing these ones up as well. Well, the only thing I know that would fix this, for sure, at least, is a restart. Is this a good week to trade? Kinda depends on what your edge is. If your edge is being able to deal with current events and really big swings, then this could be the best week of the year to trade. But if that is not your trade, then this is probably going to be one of the worst weeks to trade. I tell you what, man, this is going back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. I feel like today is not even a real day. Is this real? It's Monday, right? It doesn't feel like, to me, something's off. Well, we got an election tomorrow in the United States. And, geez, it just looks incredibly uncertain to me. Again, the data that we have suggests that Donald Trump will win, but the margin that he's got there isn't very much. So I don't think that information would necessarily be extremely effective at predicting the outcome of the election for us. I don't have money on the line for it, okay? And the margin is enough that, like, you know, little things like turnout could make a big difference. One of the criticisms of the Trump campaign is that their voter outreach, you know, door knocking game is not very good. And that's kind of been a problem in his past elections. This time around, they decided to go with some sort of, you know, like we'll provide a bounty for private companies. And people have been saying that they haven't been doing a very good job. And that could really hurt them. That really could. That would be something that it wouldn't necessarily show up in the polling either. So that's kind of like the biggest wild card hurting Trump. The second biggest wild card that would hurt Trump is abortion. That perhaps Democrats outperform all of the polling and everything because of abortion. Even though abortion's not on the ballot and the federal government doesn't really have anything to do with abortion anymore, but they've got people convinced. They really do. They really do. Now, on the split side, I'd say that pretty much everything has kind of been in Donald Trump's favor. So, you know, the campaign has been going his way. The Kamala has made some bad gaffes and so forth at the end. The Joe Biden garbage thing, I think, probably hurts Kamala. Is probably a bigger deal than people realize. But when you kind of take all of that and put it together, though, it kind of feels like that the die was cast a really long time ago. Maybe even before the campaigning for this election took place. Like if Kamala Harris wins, right? If Kamala Harris wins, I'm not going to be going back and thinking like, oh, Donald Trump should have done this. He should have done this. The only thing that the Republicans could have done is nominated somebody other than Donald Trump. And I really didn't think that their other options were that great. I think that a Ron DeSantis would probably be okay. But, you know, they were really demonizing Ron DeSantis, too. There's this whole thing, like, with Republicans that it's like, oh, well, Donald Trump just has too many negatives. But the Democrat Party has gotten really good at turning whoever it is that runs and demonizing them. So I kind of feel like you'd have that problem one way or another. So it's not like, you know, Donald Trump made some tactical mistake or he made some gaffe or anything like that. It's just like, that's the demographics and everything. So kind of the same thing with the Democrat Party. It's just like they kind of had limited choices. Even if they had gone in and like done a primary and picked somebody else, I'm not sure that it would have made a difference. You know, if I was seeing something in the campaign that was kind of suggesting that some happening thing in there like was affecting the outcome, then maybe it'd be different. But I don't see that. I don't see that. It's just like it comes down to like, do women show up for Democrats or not? is kind of the now some kind of late breaking signs that we got here. One thing is, where are the campaigns spending their time? I am not really seeing a whole lot from like what Kamala is doing at the end here. Donald Trump is spending his time in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, which is a little curious, but you know, kind of makes sense to me. Like, let's come to 270 to win and kind of draw this out. Boy. Okay. Oh, I need to reset my map. Yeah, okay. So let's just kind of throw some of these leaners in here. Let's move Iowa to, you know, a swing state. So there was a poll out yesterday, the Seltzer poll in Iowa, which is kind of considered the best poll for Iowa. And it came out with Harris up 4 points, which is really wild because pretty much every other poll has shown Donald Trump up there big. And there was even a poll that same day released by somebody else that had Donald Trump up by like 10 points. So how can they have her up 4 points? That kind of makes me want to ignore it, but I don't think that we can completely ignore it. So let's just, for the sake of argument, put it into the swing state status. Okay. It could show, like, I'm very doubtful that Harris will win in Iowa, but it could be that Harris is showing some momentum and the polling is showing that, perhaps. Okay. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, though, that Donald Trump wins Iowa, wins Arizona, wins Nevada, wins Georgia, and wins North Carolina. Okay. That puts Donald Trump at 268. That puts Donald Trump at 268. So he would have to win one of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And like, here's the thing. He's much more likely to win Pennsylvania than he is Wisconsin and Michigan. Okay. There is polling that shows him up in all three of these, actually. But so, like, here's the thing. Really, you just got to win Pennsylvania, right? You win Pennsylvania, everything's good. And if you win Pennsylvania, you don't even necessarily need Nevada, right? He can give Harris Nevada. I think he can even get away without Arizona, right? Yeah, it's still 270, right? So what Donald Trump is doing is he's just putting all of his effort into the scenario that is the most likely to win for him, which is basically he takes Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Right? So does that really tell us anything about like what the campaign thinks about the election? The whole point of that was, is this kind of an indication of like who's going to win? Probably not. Probably not. But it does probably mean that it's close. It does probably mean if it's close. If he really felt like he had such a margin, that he was so confident of winning these ones, why not campaign in Wisconsin and Michigan? You know, kind of like, yeah. If Harris sweeps Tuesday night, they'll declare the winner by Wednesday. If it's Trump, they'll hold out for a couple of weeks. Maybe. So there is I certainly a scenario where, well, yeah. So like, let's say that it comes out and like, here's what I think is actually the most likely scenario. He's probably going to win Georgia. He's probably going to win North Carolina. It's showing him up in Arizona. Nevada is a little bit less sure, but I actually kind of think that he might win Nevada too. And then Pennsylvania. He's up in Pennsylvania. I'm really skeptical about Trump winning Michigan, and Wisconsin. So this is the scenario that I think is the most likely. No, maybe, definitely. This is the scenario that I think is the most likely. That's a super thin margin, right? But, you know, there's a good chance that when you look at the exit polling in Pennsylvania and everything, you're going to see how things turn out, and they will be able to project that race. If not, then yeah, it's going to be like Pennsylvania. We don't know what the deal is with Pennsylvania. And basically, we have to wait until we know what's going on with Pennsylvania, and that will take forever. Now, the other thing, though, is that, you know, if the exit polling really clearly shows that Donald Trump is going to win Pennsylvania, then the exit polling is probably also going to show that he's going to win Wisconsin and Michigan. So then you really get like the blowout scenario. Like, gosh, he could even get New Mexico and Minnesota. Like you could even put those on the table, and Virginia. There's even stuff showing that it was close in Virginia, right? This is like the best scenario for Donald Trump. It's possible. It's a possibility, right? Maybe this scenario that I just drew out is more likely than the one where it's super, super close. I kind of do feel like that with the way that the polling has been, that it's either going to be dead on or it's going to be really, really bad. Right? And if it's really, really bad, then like one side or the other is just gonna run the tables, right? Because that could go completely the other way for Harris too, where she wins Nevada, Arizona, somehow she wins Georgia, North Carolina is a little bit less likely, but then all three of these, you know. Yes. Well, let's give her Iowa too, because they were kind of, that's like the best scenario for Harris. Man, the electoral map is really favorable to Republicans right now, isn't it? People don't change their minds suddenly in a way that would cause poll results suddenly to close in on each other at a point where they basically reflect a coin flip. Well, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Susie. what I'm seeing in the data is that there's like 5% of voters that are actually undecided and are late breakers. And when you consider that, like, turnout and like your ability to get voters to turn out on election day can be possibly as much as 5%, but probably more like 2 to 3%. You know, and you assume that like just assume that the undecideds break evenly first of all, each 2.5 to each person, right? Then like your turnout does matter, right? Your turnout does matter. That's where it's like, okay, that's the scenario where the polling is all cracked. Which, you know, there's this thing yesterday, was it yesterday? Where Nate Silver was like, I don't believe these results. I think that they are hurting. That they're all looking at each other's polls and nobody wants to be the outlier, and they're kind of all adjusting their methodologies and everything to give a relatively even result. And he says that, like, you know, the chances of them all of the polling showing it this close is unlikely. Well, okay. Turnout is one thing that nobody can predict. Polling is just it's sentiment manipulation. Well, okay, but going back to that though, like, so one of the things that I see, like on Reddit, man, the narrative pushing is super hard right now. Like with this Iowa poll. Okay, look, everything else, every other poll that we've seen in Iowa for the last 8 years shows Donald Trump with a strong lead in Iowa. And now all of a sudden, one poll comes out. Granted, they're a pollster with a pretty good reputation, but one poll comes out and it's the other way, and everybody's like, oh, wow, Kamala Harris is just absolutely going to destroy this election. And just gonna, like, they all, the focus on that was just all of a sudden, everything on that. And I tell you what, man, especially when it comes to poll watching, the selection bias in people is super, super strong, right? Like, we all want to look at the poll that says the thing that we want to say, right? So I would say that, like, the week before the election, but especially like that weekend before, it is kind of like they all feel like that they've made their case and they all focus on turnout. And, you know, they start pushing all of this stuff because they think, here's the thing, is I've never seen any data to suggest that this makes a difference. I've never seen any data to suggest that this makes a difference, but they all think that if they say my candidate is winning and the other candidate's not winning, and here's all the stuff that shows that my candidate's going to win, that their people will want to come out to vote and the other people will not want to come out and vote. And then that will be a swing. Does that actually swing things? I don't know. But what it does do is it makes, like, the information that we get just before the election, at least like from social media sentiment, like completely useless. You know? Well, we know what Reddit says. You don't need to waste but like, it's not just Reddit. I mean, like, the Democrat social media campaign is just incredibly strong. It's just incredibly strong. And they come out and they create this narrative everywhere. And man, if you're reading on the internet, then you'd think that everybody believes that Donald Trump is going to turn this into the Handmaid's Tale. Like, it's really, some of the things that people say really start to get ridiculous. Really start to get really ridiculous. That'll be the case when the platforms aren't mechanically crushing your viewpoints. Maybe it's just because the conservatives get. It's because if you come out and let's just say that social media users, this is not true, but let's just say that social media users come out pretty much the same as the electorate. Like, it's like 52% red or blue. And is that red right there? And 48% red. Okay. then what happens is these just kind of cancel each other out. Things just kind of cancel each other out. And the difference ends up being 4 points Democrat. And that's what Reddit shows you. Right? This is the big flaw with Reddit. The big flaw with Reddit. This is why they had to kill Dig. Conspiracy theory time. This is why they had to kill Dig. Because Dig had an algorithm that said if a wide swath of people say something, if you got a group of people that comes from both sides and they're both upvoting somebody, like completely desperate, separate, because basically what they do, what they did on Reddit, okay, or what they did on Dig was they had this kind of graph with like all of these people, and these are the connections between people. Like these are the things that they tend to vote on, and here's the things that these guys tend to vote on. And I look at how broad the user base is looking at that thing, and that's what goes to the front page. And then there's kind of like a little like vote algorithm. So it's like, here's all of the available stories out here, and then I select one and that goes to the front page. And then that's the front page forever. Because that's one of the worst things about Reddit is that you go to Reddit and then you visit it later in the day and it's all the same stories, right? That was never the case with Dig. Dig was objectively, algorithmically speaking, better in almost every single way compared to Reddit. But Reddit had two things. One was that they had subreddits, which frankly, at the time that Dig collapsed and Reddit started to take over, like had just barely happened. So I'm not so sure that that was a huge part of Reddit, of Dig falling. But then the other thing was that during the 2008 campaign, Dig played a pretty significant role in bringing Obama to prominence. And all of the Republicans kind of watched that and saw what happened and was like, oh, we're going to do that too. So they created upvote networks and all of this sort of a thing. And when Democrats realized that they didn't have a complete crushing control over what was coming out on Dig anymore, that was when they started to push people over to Reddit. And what they did was they got all of their activist moderators, really big positions on Reddit. and then when everything collapsed at Dig and the Republicans came over, they were suppressed because the moderators would put their thumb on the scale. They'd say, oh, here's a story that's kind of pro-Republican, or here's a story that really counters the narrative that we're being told to put out right now. And so they will find some excuse to disqualify that story, downvote it, and or ban it outright. Ban it outright, or they'll focus all their efforts on downvoting it. And since they already kind of have that advantage, now it's like that 4% advantage all of a sudden becomes like a 10% advantage. So what did Republicans do? Republicans went and made their own subreddits, played the same kind of games, and had insane success. And that's how you got 2016, was that Donald Trump had insane success through social media and memes and so forth, and some would say through disinformation. And that was why Hillary Clinton lost. In my opinion, that's why that combined with Hillary Clinton was just a bad candidate and kind of rested on her laurels and didn't campaign very hard at the end. And so then what did they do? They banned those subreddits. They just banned those subreddits for no good reason to either. Just straight up banned it. Yes. The reason that Dig died and that Reddit became the big platform was because Democrats had more control over it. It was 100% a factor, in my opinion. I guess that's my conspiracy theory. Like, how do I prove it? But I've been there the whole time, man. That's what I see. I miss Dig. Dig was a better website. Who's winning? Oh, well, man, you're too late. You have to rewind. I'm not going to go through that. Yeah. Uzi still thinks Harris will win. He's so confident in it. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing that bothers me, Uzi. Is like, when you say that, you project to me a supreme amount of confidence. And it bothers me that you seem so confident. Are you actually that confident? Or is it just kind of, you know, the thing, like you show the bravado and you say the thing, and, you know, like, it just always irks me so much when I see people on the internet seem so confident about something that's like, you know, there's a lot of randomness and nuance in this. Like, I don't know if we can really, I'm not putting money on this one, right? Like, with as frequently as Uzi says that Harris will win, and as adamantly as he's said that, he should really have some money on Polymarket. You could call it confidence or a lack thereof, depends on the term. Man. Well, so now I'm back to why do my indicators not work today? And I am like really tempted to like pause the stream and restart my machine to see if that fixes it, and to try and figure out why that folder is apparently like in use by something else. So it could be that some NinjaTrader process didn't shut down correctly and is still holding the file handles to it. No, well, the log is showing me something. The log is showing me that it can't do anything because the file is being used by something. I'm just gonna do it. I don't even care. You know what? We when we come back, we can talk about how burnt out I feel. This is like the one thing. Like I'm sitting here like, you know, there's a couple of things like if I feel burnt out, like maybe what I need is I just need to do some things that are different. I just go in and change a few things, put my focus a little somewhere else, and, you know, hope it all works out. But this is like the one thing that like we got to do this no matter what. We've spent so much time. We're like in a good place with these indicators and like doing something that I've been trying to get working for a really long time and never really had the time to put. So let's restart and fix that. Okay, I'm going to shut down NinjaTrader first. Here's Jigsaw. Okay, I will see you in about a minute, okay? Don't go. All right. Let me know if you're back with me yet. Log into Rhythmic here. Okay, got A Paul. Welcome. All right. Now I can start NinjaTrader. Hopefully I don't have that issue with Jigsaw where it opens on the wrong string. Okay, no, we're okay on that point. Oh, we should turn on the music, huh? also means I need to turn on voice meter. Go. See, now it's working. Okay. It was just that. Now, I do kind of feel like that should not stop it, though. So I'm going to come in here to resting orders. Or let's do level 2 changes. Yeah. Doesn't really explain it, actually. Well, it's interesting. Just gonna come over to here, reload historical data on this chart. Well, I'm worried that we're going to have lots of problems with it, but that's a beta. I think that I will still package it up today. So today we've got to do applications. Package up beta. Is that it? Oh, no, and I have to do this video. Edit video. And write post-election video. That's what I should do today. I'm seeing more insurance companies refuse to service or insure Tesla Cybertrucks, and funny enough, at the same time, the companies' HQs are putting posts that they do service and insure them. Really? Well, there's definitely some problems with the Cybertruck. Dude, there ain't ever going to be anything quite like the Cybertruck. Something that is like so objectively terrible and yet so incredibly popular. I mean, that's just my opinion, but it seems to me like the Cybertruck isn't a good car. It seems to me that Tesla cars overall aren't the greatest cars. aren't gonna say that they're like terrible compared to like your other like run-of-the-mill compact car, but people think that they're like premium cars. They're not. They really cut corners, and they really cut corners with the Cybertruck, like big time. But I probably shouldn't say that, because there's going to be all of these people that just absolutely love the Cybertruck. Seth, you're wrong. No, the Cybertruck is perfect. That's just disinformation from Whistling Diesel to get YouTube views, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. And if you have insurance, using it is really hard. It's curious to me that you bring up the Cybertruck, but you know, I'm down to talk about it. It's absolutely not a good car, and it can be proven just by walking around one. Yeah. You ever seen that there's this social media post where like there's this guy and he's like, oh, I got a girlfriend. She's so absolutely gorgeous. You guys are going to be so jealous, yada, yada, yada. And then he posts pictures of her and she's just absolutely hideous looking. Like she's got terrible makeup on and she's just kind of looks like scrawny and sickly and all that, you know, and she's like trying to be all sexy in a swimming suit, but just like laughably ugly, frankly. And that, you know, and then everybody made fun of him. That to me is like what I think of the Cybertruck. It's like the owners think that they're great and they're so beautiful, but everybody else is like, what the heck are you smoking? But what I want to know is when they release a new Back to the Future movie where they make the Cybertruck instead of a DeLorean. Although they have made a new DeLorean too. Have you seen the new DeLorean? It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I really like that high-tech 80s sports car kind of look. Okay, well, if our indicators are working here now. So anyways, I'm going through like a perpetual cycle of like burnout right now, man. Like I will go through part of the day where for whatever reason, I don't know, I didn't eat a good enough lunch or something, but I just feel so frustrated and pessimistic and all of these sorts of things, you know. And then like I'll eat dinner and I feel fine. Maybe part of it is I haven't been able to work out multiple times a week because I've been watching kids. I've been able to get the Mondays in, but the other days I haven't been able to work out. And I continually feel like I gotta do something. But what can I do? I feel like I'm doing everything that I can. And the issue is that like everything that I can do is just like, you know, put stuff out. Do the work on the indicators. Write the scripts. You know, like all of these things that like when I'm done doing the thing, there's absolutely no guarantee that I'm going to get any kind of reward from it whatsoever. So it is just like everything that I'm doing, there's no feedback loop in it to keep me going with it, you know? I want to do something that moves the needle. I want to do something where I do it and I put it out and I see the benefit. And I'm not getting that, you know? I'm not getting that right now. And it's really starting to like mess with me chemically, I think. Got to do something. So I start thinking about like, oh, what are all of these different things that we can do? Well, one of the things that I get is, well, let's do something different, like different video or something different with videos. I didn't have somebody, next video that we put out. I was going to put it out today, but I decided to push it back a week because of the election. We'll have them edit the video. It's not going to be like the most amazing editing, but it will be different. And it will be a little bit more engaging, so we'll see if that makes any difference. I kind of suspect that it won't. Kind of, you know, like, again, this is like the pessimism in me. It's like, oh, okay, so here we're gonna do this trial of one of the things that I've always kind of felt like it would really help the stream out, and I don't think that is gonna make a lick of difference, but we're gonna do it. But then I start to think about, oh, so what are some other projects that I can do, right? I could start building a trading platform, I suppose. You want a good random way to perform lower level, but great physical? I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean, but sure. I just, on the days where I have the kids and I'm watching the kids and Melissa's, because here's the problem, is that now that we're in November, Melissa will be working even more. Like these days, it's like last week I had most of the beginning of the week, and then it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday that I had to watch the kids. She's going to be working like most days in November because she'll be working full time. And that's going to be rough. It's going to be very, very rough. And I'll have to watch them. Now, I made some changes yesterday because they have like the iPads and everything. So I kind of switched their iPads around so that I have more control over it. So I can like share a video with them and they're more likely to see it. And hopefully that sends them down, you know, watching that video, and they'll be more interested in the iPad and less interested in the laptop and TV, so that I can use the laptop while they're there. But I don't know if I can get that much work done. Well, and then what would I do? I'd write videos. Okay. Make your own prop firm, Seth, says Valentino. Yeah, I mean, if I were to go down the path of creating a quote-unquote prop firm, I don't know what I would do that would do it differently, and I really just hate that industry. Like, I know that you're saying that as a joke, but like it's a serious proposition, and I don't think that I'd want to do that. I think that if I was going to go down that path, there would have to be more like start my own futures broker. Yeah, start my own futures broker, and then part of that futures broker would be funding. But it would be like maybe I'm running a momentum strategy, right? And I need to do certain something. Like I strategy says buy this thing today, right? And so then I go and I look at my customers and I see who trades what and how these different guys are doing, and tell one of, you know, my guys, oh, what we need you to execute this trade for us today. Can you do that? And let them do it, or, you know, like kind of temporary funding of sorts. Which, you know, I have your performance over a multi-year period. I can use that to determine if I want to give you money or something like that, right? I think that would make much more sense as like a quote-unquote prop firm. You got to do a 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups challenge, doing it randomly throughout the day in sets of 30 each, but do it with the kids in the room at least. I just want to go and throw weights over my head, man. Part of my problem there is, like, I probably could take the kids with me to work out in the garage, but I would need them, I would need to clear the garage out a little bit, and there's that 1 or 2 projects that I don't have the money to finish right now. All right, what do you got for me, D? Oh, is that just all of the jobs at the CME group? Of course, they use my workaday jobs. Oh, look, they have some. 54 jobs found. But I don't want to move to Chicago. No thanks. Location. Chicago, New York. They don't have remote. A few jobs. HR technology analyst. Cyber defense engineer. Ooh, trade practice investigator. I would love to do this. Investigators use proprietary trade practice surveillance tools and other resources at their disposal to monitor CME Group markets for evidence of abusive, disruptive, or illegal activity, to detect and prevent manipulative behaviors, and to conduct trade practice investigations. Investigators begin. I would be like the Javert of. I would be so into that, but I don't want to move to Chicago. Let's see here. Bachelor's degree, 1 to 3 years direct work experience at an exchange or regulatory organization or futures commission, merchant preferred. Or experience working with large data. That's me. A little bit. I don't know if they would even, I don't know if my resume would even get through the stack. Nah, they don't have anything listed as remote, and I wouldn't expect them to either, so see me. So this is another thing that's really grating on me, man. The jobs that are available just aren't that good. Like, most of the companies that I'm seeing out there are companies that I've never heard of before. When you read the descriptions, it's not always entirely clear what it is that they do. And if it is clear what they do, what they're doing is boring. Now, I'm kind of into a boring job, but there's like, so there was one that was in insurance. I was supposed to get a thing about that last week, and that recruiter basically ghosted me, which probably means they forgot, but I don't know. I don't even think I have their contact information. But that was like for insurance companies. Now that to me was like, oh, that's great. I'd totally do that. Boring company, but that makes money, right? But a lot of them are just not very good. And then like the thing that's like crazy is that like the jobs that I look at and I'm like, oh, I'm really well qualified for that. And then you never hear from those ones. And the ones that are interested are the ones that are kind of like, well, okay, I guess I might as well submit for it, but I don't know if that one's really a very good fit, right? Or there's something about it like, yeah, that'll work, but they start earlier, and so I probably wouldn't be able to do the live stream anymore. That sort of a thing, right? And then it has me like, well, I should stop wasting time submitting resumes and just work on the stream 24/7, you know? do kind of feel like that. But that was then where I got to like, okay, well, what can I do to move the needle? Well, one of the ideas that I had was we always kind of had the dream of like, let's build our own platform, because, you know, I think that there are a couple of features and things that I could do from the perspective of a trading platform that I think I could make better than what's out there already. You know, well, that'd be a big project, but it's kind of like from the perspective of like, you know, changing the stream up is part of it, because I just can't really, I'm just really not in the position to take on a whole lot of risk. Like, I don't have a super great performing strategy at the moment in terms of like a systematic strategy. We know that the what do we call it? The discretionary results can kind of be dependent on that market, and I don't know if this is the best market for me at the moment. And so what do we do to keep the stream interesting? We just keep doing what we've been doing? Or is there a new project that we can pick up? You know? Well, one of the projects I could pick up is writing my own trading system or something. Another project that we could pick up is making, you know, there's some of these little web games and things like that that we've always kind of talked about. Oh, we should make that. We should make that. But then at the end of the day, I don't know if it really excites me or necessarily fixes my problems either. No, the only thing that really fixes my problems is I find a new day job. I'm in an okay space right now. I haven't had to dig into any savings yet. We're doing pretty good. I've been interviewing for lots of people. And the ones that kind of, there was maybe 2 or 3 that I interviewed for and I didn't get, but I didn't feel that they were very good fits. So it didn't surprise me that I didn't get those ones. Hopefully the election, that things will clear. I'm hoping that things will clear up after the election. I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen. Then it's like, what if that doesn't happen? And then, hopefully things will clear after New Year's. That's a long road, man. 2 more months of this would drive me insane. There's probably at least 1 more month of this, because even if I got a job from one of the ones I'm currently interviewing for, it takes some multiple weeks. See, probably shouldn't have gotten into this but this is like what's been going through my head. And then I'll go through another period where it's like the opposite, where I'm like all optimistic. I'm totally going to get this one. And the live stream is still growing and doing really well and all of these sorts of things. So it's like just quick and back and forth. And it's just driving me nuts. But the way that I cope with these kinds of problems in the past is I will have something that I can really dig into and absorb myself with, and I just haven't found anything like that in a long time. Oh, on this thing, we need to zoom in on this a little bit more. When I look at this one, it seems like r squared of 10 is just way too short. Yeah. We're going to get rid of it. Also kind of seems to me that having the market order and balance on a really short time frame and 30-minute time frame doesn't really work. Maybe if I had it as a even longer time frame than 30, but it seems like the difference between 10 and 30 isn't that big of a deal. But I'm going to leave that one on for another week. By the way, were we able to get people back after the drop-off and everything? We didn't quite get everybody back. Oh, no, we do. We got 20. We're fine. We're fine. I'm a little concerned about the treasury market here because they kind of like busted out through here at the top. A little bit of a distribution area, but I'm concerned that they slip right back through it. You know, like they just... You know, browsing around on Reddit and other places, it sure still seems a little quiet for the day before the election. Shouldn't I be getting all of this information about polls out this morning? Or is that still too early? Well, let's come. What's on the conservative blogs? New York Times, the shy voter polling syndrome may be back. Stephen Moore, Nobel economist, put partisanship over economic common sense. I don't know if that's actually true. You know what? Let's read this one. I'm interested to see what he's going to say here. I think I'm going to disagree with him, though. You may have heard that last week, 24 Nobel economists wrote that Vice President Kamala Harris's economic plan would be better for America than the Trump agenda. The joint letter was spearheaded by the hyper-political Joseph Stiglitz. Yes, the same Joe Stiglitz who infamously flew to Caracas to endorse Hugo Chavez's economic policies in 2007. The letter claims the Trump economic plan would lead to higher prices, larger deficits, and greater inequality. They also warn of the risk of worldwide recession if former President Donald Trump wins. All that was missing was the prediction of dead puppies. If these apocalyptic claims sound vaguely familiar, you have a good memory. Turns out this is exactly what many in this gang of leftist economists warned of in 2016. Here are a few examples. Nobel laureate Paul Krugman fumed in the New York Times the morning after the election. It really does now look like President Donald Trump has won and markets are plunging. When might we expect them to recover? We are probably looking at a global recession with no end in sight. Larry Summers, former President Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary and former President Barack Obama's National Economic Council Director, warned Under Trump, I would expect a protracted recession to begin within 18 months. The damage would be felt far beyond the United States. There were many more of these dead end-the-world prophecies laid out. They were all spectacularly wrong. The economy boomed under Trump, as did the stock market. Then, in 2021, many on this same list of Nobel laureates economists signed a similar open letter assuring us that Joe Biden's policies wouldn't cause inflation. Oops. 10 months later, the inflation rate surged to its highest level since the Carter administration. I too have skepticism on some of Trump's positions. I'm not a fan of high tariffs or special interest tax carve-outs, but what is undeniable is that the 2016 economic agenda worked like a charm as measured by the record-breaking 4,000 to 5,000 gain in real incomes for average families. Conversely, incomes are down in real terms under the Biden-Harris administration. Oh, and someone tell these ivory towered economists that inflation and income inequality went down, not up, under Donald Trump. It's virtually impossible for anyone to bat 1,000 in their predictions, but what is remarkable is that when it comes to Trump and Biden, they have managed to record a perfect record with their crystal balls. They have been wrong every time. Their disregard for common sense may be due to a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. As an example, they argue that Trump tariffs will cause inflation, then they worry that Trump tax cuts will cause inflation. Excuse me, professors, but tax cuts and tax increases can't both cause inflation at the same time. Okay, I have a really big deal with that because a tariff is a very, very different thing from an income tax. Oh, man. Steven, that was a really bad take right there. As an economist who cares about our profession, I'd love to see these Nobels simply admit that they have been wrong and steer clear of politics. They should acknowledge that the real world is very different from the diagrams they draw on the chalkboards and then just shut up, or better yet, move to the workers' paradise of Venezuela. Stephen Moore is visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He's also an economic advisor to the Trump campaign. His new book, co-authored with Arthur Laffer, is The Trump Economic Miracle. Yeah, so the issue when it comes to economics and this election is that both candidates are proposing really dumb things. And when I say really dumb things, I mean things that are almost certain to be sure economic losers that would cause a lot of turmoil and disruption in the economy. Kamala Harris wants to impose inheritance taxes and, unrealized capital gains taxes, and that would probably just utterly decimate our economy and cause a lot of money to move overseas and possibly cause us to lose the stock market entirely, which would be a huge deal. That would be a huge deal, and that would really, just kind of like blow up the true engine of our economy. Donald Trump wants to impose a 20% tariff against China. Well, tariffs, generally speaking, are not good for the economy. They tend to result in less economic activity. And tariffs of that nature tend to result in retaliatory tariffs. So any benefit that is made from us protecting our own industries gets kind of, any economic benefit that you get from that gets slashed by them putting tariffs against our companies and hurting our exports. But here's the thing. Neither candidate are going to do those things. Donald Trump does not have the power to impose a 20% tariff against China. He can only impose tariffs when it's relevant for the national security. And an across the board tariff would not fit the bill. And, he might make a executive order, but the Supreme Court is likely to shoot it down. What's more likely is that he's saying these things because he knows that his audience likes it and because it might give him negotiating power, but he has zero intention of imposing it. Same thing with Kamala Harris. She's got to know that an unrealized capital gains tax is a complete loser economically. She's an economics major, so she should know these things. she has no intention of putting it in. It's just that her audience likes it. So it is difficult to predict whether the economy would be better under Trump or better under Kamala Harris, or to say that Trump's economic policies will be good or be bad, because we're not entirely sure what he will actually implement. My guess is that with a split Congress, as long as he doesn't impose an executive order that's like way out of line, like something that it's there for a year, but then the courts strike it down. As long as he doesn't do that, I actually think that the economy will probably do pretty well under Donald Trump. But that will probably be because he won't be able to implement much of his agenda. And if he does, the thing that he might be able to implement is like tax cuts, and deregulation. And, well, he probably will do deportations, though. I think that the deportation thing will be a real thing. And I think that cutting government access will be a real thing. And those are both going to be things that will have somewhat of a drag on the economy. But, the private sector could make up for that. So it's kind of like uncertain. So what I see is when Nobel Prize laureates come out and say these are good or bad for the economy, I'm looking at people that aren't really watching the politics here, don't completely understand what's going on, and B, don't seem to understand the limits of their own predictive powers, because like our ability to predict this stuff is actually quite limited. Economics is still in its infancy, right? Who is going to win? Well, so I'm not putting money on it. I think that the data still supports a Donald Trump win, but it's extremely narrow. So it is very likely that there is something about who turns out on the election day that will invalidate all of the polls. And we have, it could be a number of different things. So that's why it's kind of like our ability to predict the election is very limited. But if you go back to the beginning of the stream, I kind of go back through all of the stuff that we've got going right now. But again, I have to say, the internet seems a little quiet for... I mean, I don't know, it's 7:30. Like, usually the stuff doesn't come out for another hour, but still. They're already erecting walls around DC. Does that report a Kamala Harris win? I'm not entirely sure. There's been businesses have been boarding up and stuff. How will the stock market? Well, the stock market almost always reacts positively to the election. Like there's some knee-jerk reactions in the night of that are wild and all over the place. But at the end of the day, the stock market is usually higher afterwards. Part of it is that it's just narratives, and we just are always able to invent a narrative about why it's good. Another part of it is that a lot of people do delay their purchases until after the election. And so, after the election, you're kind of getting this, like delayed demand that comes into the stock market and pushes things up. So I would be very wary of sell the S&P 500 and keeping it open. Like if you make money like that on election night, lose your trade out probably. I've never seen it where like it goes down on election night and then the whole next week it extends. I've never seen that before. In the 4 or 5 elections that I've been watching markets. I've been doing this a long time, man. Futures only since Trump, so that this would be the 3rd. But then there was 2 before that, where I was watching markets at least. So. Well, I was kind of concerned that the treasuries would, slam back across this. Well, they did continue to go lower. They went as low as 16, but it's been pretty slow and gradual. So. Do you ever use tape speed? What is that? Now I'm really interested because I can't imagine what he's actually talking about. It broke today that the female Olympic boxer everyone was fighting over earlier this year is, in fact, a male. Really? Let me read. I want to see. What? Okay, so I don't see anything about boxer proven male, but what I do see is that he appeared in a Donald Trump campaign video, and so that's why it's becoming an issue again today. Maybe you can link me to a story. Redux, feminist news and opinion. So this must be a what do they call them? The anti-trans feminists like J.K. Rowling. I forget what the name that they have for J.K. Rowling is, but a shocking new development has emerged in the case of Algerian boxer Imane Khalif after a French journalist reportedly gained access to a damning medical report revealing Khalif has testicles. The news comes a month after Khalif seized a gold medal in women's boxing at the Paris Olympics. The report was drafted in June of 2023 via a collaboration between the Kremlin Bicêtre Hospital in Paris and the Mohamed Lamine Dabaghi Hospital in Algiers, Algeria. Drafted by expert endocrinologists Soumya Fadala and Shahwez Young, the report reveals that Khalif is impacted by 5-alpha reductase deficiency, a disorder of sexual development that is only found in biological males. The genetic abnormality influences the normal development of a child's sexual organs at birth. Male babies impacted by 5-alpha are often incorrectly assigned female due to the presence of deformed genitalia that sometimes takes on the appearance of a blind vaginal pouch. The disordered development typically becomes apparent by puberty when 5-alpha adolescents begin to experience signs of masculinization, such as muscle growth, hair growth, and an absence of breast tissue development or menstruation. Without access to proper clinical examination, males with 5-alpha may incorrectly believe they are female into adulthood. This is like really long. I don't think that I actually want to read all of this. So, to be honest with you, though, this seems like the kind of a report that the media would consider not, what is the word? Not reputable enough to report on yet. Like, basically, there's some saying that somebody did do an examination, determined all of this stuff. A journalist got a hold of it and then decided not to release it. And then it somehow got leaked out, right? So that, they would say there's got to be all sorts of problems with it that would prevent them, that. So it might not be You know, like that's what the Snopes story about it is going to say, is that, you know, they're going to say, well, there's a story that claims this, but it's unverified or something like that, right? But then let's read the Daily Mail story. Controversial women's boxer Emaine Khalif is bizarrely referenced in one of Donald Trump's final campaign videos ahead of the presidential election. Trump's bid to return to office is set to conclude this week after what has been a long and controversial election battle with Democrat nominee Kamala Harris. Just a few days before voting closes, the former president has made one final plea to the American public in a closing ad which takes aim at the current administration. And included in that dig at Joe Biden and Harris is Khalif, who was at the center of a fierce debate during the Summer Olympics. The Algerian boxer controversially won gold in the women's welterweight category despite question marks over her gender having been thrown out of last year's world championship after allegedly failing gender eligibility tests. Video, which claims everything we cared about fell apart under the Biden-Harris administration. The Trump campaign shows footage of Khalif's hand being raised at the Olympics when listing some examples. The narrator then says men can beat up women and win medals. Okay, so I think I saw this posted, but I didn't watch that particular commercial or whatever. Well, I do remember at the time that was all going on, saying, I bet you that eventually information comes out proving that he's actually a male. But I don't think that I can come on here and say at the moment that it was proven that she's not female. There's a story out there. I guess I can say that there's a story. Some other people might say that it's disinformation or unproven. So, but when something like that comes out, I'd say probably not very long before we'd really know for sure, right? Probably not enough for it to matter to the election, but I don't know if it matters to the election or not anyways. It's kind of weird that he's putting that in there, you know. Like, it's the Olympics. They didn't really have that much control over it, right? Like, even if Donald Trump was president at the time, it still would have happened, right? No, that's a weird one. It's weird that he put that in. Okay, let's read this other hot air story by Ed Morrissey about the New York Times. We'll read their story because I don't think that I can read the New York Times story. Remember how pollsters underestimated Donald Trump's strength in his last two campaigns? Will they miss again? Real Clear Politics gives us a running comparison of his current aggregated polling average and the same data on the same date 4 and 8 years earlier. To take Pennsylvania at the best example, Trump currently leads Kamala Harris by a razor-thin 0.3 points as of yesterday afternoon. 8 years ago, on November 3rd, Hillary Clinton led by 2.8 points and lost the state by 0.7, a miss of 3.5 points. 4 years ago, the miss was nearly the same as Joe Biden led Real Clear Politics average by 4.3 points and ended up winning by only 1.2 points. I remember in the 2020 election, though, thinking that Trump was going to lose up until like the last bit. There was something that I saw that kind of made me feel optimistic about it. And I don't remember what the deal was. Maybe we should go back and find the live stream from 4 years ago and see what we were thinking. With your standards, you'd have to actually touch it to believe. Well, you know, so if they could verify that you don't have to go that far because somebody already did that, right? In order for it to come up from a journalistic standards point, a reputable outlet would need to verify that report is real, right? Then I think that there would probably be this argument over whether, you know, that hospital's analysis was legit. But I personally wouldn't doubt that part. I think that if somebody verifies the medical report, that would be like confirmation. They're not going to bother? I don't know. I wouldn't say. You know, like, so what they could do is they could release the actual medical report. Like, that's the thing, is that you're not supposed to release those kinds of medical records, right? It would be against the guy's wishes. So I don't think that there's a legal way for us to find out. But unless he said, oh, okay, we'll release that medical report. But if that's what it said, then there's no way that he's going to say that, right? So, but somebody has it, right? So then you'd have to, you know, it's out there. You just have to verify it. Now, I don't know anything about a medical report of that nature. How would you verify that it's legitimate and that it's not just somebody made it up? You know, like if there's a PDF going around the internet, how do we verify that that PDF actually came from the hospital? I don't know. But I kind of feel like that, or, you know, there's a good chance that in the next few days that we would find out, right? Now, that doesn't mean that the wider media would report on it, but it would certainly go around in conservative. Like what I'm seeing right now, I'm not even sure that conservative circles will necessarily report on it. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how far, you know, it's like, that's like, when was this one posted? French journalist Adhere to obtain a copy through physical examination. This is November 4th. You know, like, one of the things is that maybe this French journalist has enough in his story to really confirm it. But it's just that I'm only seeing it from this one website, right? So that's the first thing, is that I would really like to see. Well, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could search for his name. News. Express Tribune, Redux. There's only 3 places that have it. So it's really just Redux that's reporting on it. At least on the English internet. That's a little wild, dude. I don't know. But I think we'd be cautious about that story still. Like, again, if it's a legit story, I think that we'll get a lot more in a day or two. And so there's no reason to, you know, like, everybody's always in this rush to declare something as true or not true and get in front of it and be the prominent. I don't care about that stuff, right? So there's no rush for us to confirm or deny it, but rather, you know, this is a good test case for us to learn about how to read news stories, and in particular how they would, you know. So as an example, if this was something that was market moving, if for some reason, whether this boxer was really female or not had an impact on the economy, would we be seeing the stock market buying or selling right now? And I don't think that we would, based off of that story. There would maybe be some people speculating, but I don't think that you would see an appreciable move in the market, right? But some of these other things that I'm saying, like you see that report is given to a more reputable outlet and they've authenticated it and everything else like that, then that would be market moving, right? So it's just kind of a study in how, you know, people and markets react to news like that. We were reading this story about the New York Times, weren't we? Okay. The big question this cycle has been whether pollsters have corrected for that issue and improved their reach among low propensity respondents. Until now, we haven't seen much data on that question, which has more or less frozen the interpretations of polling data. Yesterday, however, New York Times' Nate Cohn introduced a keynote at the end of his report on the latest New York Times Siena polling results. The non-response bias is not just real, Cohen writes, but it may be as spectacular as the last 2 cycles. Okay. So these are the people like myself and Uzi that when the pollsters call, say, I'm not talking to you. Or they lie, or they do talk and they lie. That is a thing. That is definitely a thing. Okay. 4 years ago, the polls were thought to underestimate Mr. Trump because of non-response bias, in which his supporters were less likely to take surveys than demographically similar Biden supporters. It's hard to measure the non-response bias. After all, we couldn't reach those demographically similar voters. But one measure I track from time to time is the proportion of Democrats or Republicans who respond to a survey after considering other factors. Across these final polls, while white Democrats were 16% more likely to respond than white Republicans, that's a larger disparity than our earlier polls this year. And it's not much better than our final polls in 2020. Even with the pandemic over, it raises the possibility that the polls could underestimate Mr. Trump yet again. That may be huge considering the results from Siena. They contain a couple of outliers in Harris's favor, but with this kind of non-response bias, they looks perhaps even more questionable. So what does Siena have? Arizona, Trump +4, Georgia, Harris +1, Michigan, Trump +what? They have Trump +1 in Michigan, but Harris +1 in Georgia? That does not compute to me. Hold on. Nevada, Harris +3, North Carolina, Harris +3, Pennsylvania, even in Wisconsin, Harris +3. Wow. Those results really do not match up. So they're saying Trump will take Arizona. I think that one's pretty likely. And Nevada, they're saying Harris. And then they're saying Harris in Georgia and Harris in North Carolina. And then even in Pennsylvania. But then they have Trump in Michigan and Wisconsin Harris. Okay, well, but with that, Harris is already over the top. Very narrow victory for Harris. Even if Trump takes Pennsylvania, right? Whew. But you know what? It would make sense if there is a non-response bias, and I know that this might not be super intuitive at first, but if there is a strong non-response bias, it's going to be stronger in Republican areas than in the Democrat areas. So that would mean that you would probably see it heavier in North Carolina and Georgia. Right? Because if we come back and we shift this and we say Trump gets Georgia and North Carolina, and then it's a pretty clear victory for Donald Trump. That's, let's take Pennsylvania away, because we're not sure about that. But if he wins Michigan and Arizona, like, it's over. It's over. Just note for a moment that the Siena polls seem to be outliers in some states, especially Nevada, where early voting data has clearly shown the GOP with an enthusiasm advantage. In Pennsylvania, early voting data shows the GOP trailing, but by several 100,000 fewer ballots than 4 years ago. The same kind of data exists with more ambiguity in North Carolina as well. At least Nate Silver can't accuse Siena of hurting. The question here is whether Siena has attempted to adjust for this non-response bias. Polls use voter turnout models that are basically educated guesses, especially those employing likely voter screens. If they have adjusted for the 16% differential that Cohen reveals, then perhaps we should not look for a surprise showing of Trump support after Election Day like we saw in the last 2 elections. However, I am skeptical that any such adjustments were made. First, Cohen only mentions that they account for this, but doesn't specify a particular adjustment. Second, he leaves this to the end as kind of an afterthought. And third, and I very much doubt that an adjusted outcome accounting for this problem would produce a Harris +3 in Nevada, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. That doesn't mean it's not possible, of course. This is also educated guesswork on our part. However, the level of non-response bias centered on what should be strong Trump demo, combined with early voting and party affiliation and registration shifts in the cycle, strongly suggests that we may see a wide underestimation of Trump support. Again, but don't take that for granted. Get out and vote. Yeah. Like this thing where it's like, oh, we really think that Donald Trump is going to win. Does that really have that much of an effect on people? I really kind of wonder. I don't know. Maybe some people think that Democrat voters didn't show up in 2016 because they thought Hillary was going to run away with it. Maybe. I'm super skeptical. Like, does putting that at the end of all of your articles really make a difference? I don't think it does. But it is very, very interesting that the New York Times is noting that the non-response bias is still there. Wouldn't even say it's shy Trump voters. It's basically Trump voters are trying to mess with the polling. And they're intentionally messing up the polls. I think that's probably is happening. So I got bored and I started browsing jobs, and here's a job that is from 1 to 10 o'clock my time. So the work from 1 to 10 o'clock my time, dude, I think that would be a dream. As long as I was able to actually get myself to sleep like immediately after work. Seems like the stock market has been doing, a little bit of interesting movement today. Overall, though, I'd say it's awfully quiet the day before election. I'm sure that like more stories will come out like after our stream is done, and we have read a decent number of stories, I guess, today. But it's usually like a firestorm of crazy stuff, you know? And I'm not really seeing that. Yeah, thinking about something that I was going into a little bit earlier is like, I do kind of want to work more with Rust, to be honest with you. Are there really that many good jobs with Rust, though? Well, I'm kind of thinking no, because when I search for it, I don't really see a lot of jobs that have it mentioned specifically in the title. But that's probably because it's trying to show me things that match up with like my most recent experience. There you go, Rust engineer. Not blah, blah. Videos preferred. What are my choices here? So we could change nothing. Develop trading platform from scratch and make web game, make phone game, and go into politics. Yeah. That's it. Those are my choices. This phone game thing actually kind of interests me too. Got 45 minutes left, huh? Really has been a slow session. Oh, they did push higher, though, in the treasuries. I'd say a slow session, but there was some opportunity here in the treasuries, wasn't there? I don't know if I really got any clear signs. Well, maybe. It doesn't look like the most optimal trade for us, though. Did kind of bounce off of our cost bases, though. Yeah. Like right there, and then there it came close, but not quite. So I don't know if that one counts. Probably if we were doing this systematically, we wouldn't count that. What about on this chart? Well... oh, there has been a pretty strong market order imbalance. Going all the way back to here even. Huh. Hey, maybe I did have a trade. What tools? You know, all I've really used has been LinkedIn. I probably should be looking at other websites, right? Because again, like if I just show you right here. If I search for Rust developer, right? The first jobs that it's giving me are like DevOps jobs. So like I can't get around the effect that LinkedIn has on what it shows me first. I guess I could, if I say past 24 hours, well, that's still 749. See, why is it giving me DevOps? Yeah. Seems like there's a lot of new ones that I can apply to today, though. I have at least 5. Probably need to start getting on other job boards, though, huh? Here's one, senior software engineer routes. Their logo looks like the Anjuna Pizza logo. This is rave music? I mean, not really. I'll play you some rave music. You want to hear some rave music? I should probably stick to ones that I did. I hate that every time I open up Bitwig, there's a new update available. Well, at least they're doing their job. I have to change this to, because that's probably going off of WASP. Yeah. Yes, yeah, I'll focus right. Yes. Oh, starting in the wrong spot. There you go. Oh, but it's not coming through. You're not hearing it. Output Bose speakers. Studio. Super interesting that that's not showing up for you guys at all. When I hear it, it's just so. There's some juicy analog goodness in this one. Let's put it that way. Oh, how do I make it happen? How do I do it on this one? No, it's not that. Driver model. Stereo in. Speakers. Output. Speakers. Headphones. I'm gonna figure it out. Turn this back on. Oh, what if I do it this way? This one. Yeah. I have to turn it like way down though. There's a couple of one hits I got in there that when I originally made them, I was kind of like, I don't know if this really fits. This kind, but now I'm like, oh, that was really good. That really digitized. What do we call it? Yeah. Anyways, like really distorted crash. That sounds good. I love it. There's some good stuff in that song. I should just give up trading and make music. Probably not. I always lose my focus when I'm making music. That one's kind of like been my focus though lately, that and this Above and Beyond remix, but I probably shouldn't let you listen to that one because it's similar enough it could get flagged. Oh, how come this one isn't? I'd been going through and like trying to do an analysis of all of my projects. And this one is more of a complete song, but there was some things about it I didn't like, and I think that it was kind of like I didn't feel like that the groove on the drums was good enough. No. We're starting to the cool part. There's a build up to it. There you go. Now, how come that one doesn't have... Does it? Oh, it does. probably just needs a little bit of compression in here. I think if I take all of these parts right here and group them together on a bus. Yeah. That's pretty good. I'm gonna save that. What else do we got? What's this one? This is not a complete track, is it? No, this isn't what I thought. Files are missing. I know how that one's about. I think those were the important ones. Well, still about 5 minutes left. 17. Oh, they came all the way back, huh? I don't know what to make of this action today in the treasuries, to be honest with you. I mean, it seems like that there was maybe a little bit of an opportunity for us to have tried to predict it, but then there was a little bit of kind of unexpected little bits as well, so I don't think that that's one that I would necessarily be able to call very effectively all the time. I have a lot more in my music notes, but I don't know if I should pull those ones up. You didn't say anything, so I can only assume that you were either enjoying the music or you didn't care. You know, like we did see like some movement here in the treasuries, but I would say nothing outside of the ordinary. S&P 500, an okay start. But like most of the commodity markets that I'm looking at here aren't really doing anything much interesting. Oil is just kind of like meh. Copper's meh. Gold is meh. One thing I will note is that there does appear to be some selling in oil. Excuse me. There seems to be some selling in oil today. So that's one thing to possibly keep an eye on. But overall, it's kind of Jimmy Oreo on Twitter says, never once have I heard someone say that something is a threat to a democracy that hasn't also insisted on a countermeasure that's actually a threat to democracy. I like that. Oh boy, Kamala Harris says, I will legalize recreational marijuana. That's something you could say at the very end that probably would move the needle for some people, yeah. Okay, and here's a advice duck that is just completely misunderstands how our government works. So that's okay. Probably a good idea not to be in the action tomorrow. Well, yeah, on the morning of election day, there's usually not very great action. I agree. Yeah. Intel is being kicked out of the Dow Jones Industrial Average after 25 years and is being replaced by Nvidia. Oh, Intel, how you have fallen. Is Intel a turnaround play? I don't know. Kind of seems like it should be, but then like I'm not seeing the signs that it's a good play, you know? That one is... Ugh. Every time I see that, it just kind of unsettles me a little bit because Intel was always considered like the the large tick instrument of choice, you know? But tomorrow night, put your seatbelt on and remember to keep your hands in. Yeah. On election night, when the results come, so basically, like when the polls close on the East Coast, and then all of the news agencies can release their exit polling results, and you will see huge movement. See really big movement. It'll be crazy. This person is like, Trump's economic plan is trickle down economics and won't work. And I'm like, is it really? Like, it hasn't made that much of an economic. Let's see if we can see. "2024 Trump campaign policy proposals." I would put your face. Sorry, I need to start over. I've been trying to work harder on this. Live action says, Seth. I would put your face where the ZN chart is, and only put the 1 or 5 minute chart completely across the bottom of your top ladders. So you're saying my face here, and then charts here. Yeah. That way you can review past economic releases and during current conditions see possible targets and support where high. Well, so first of all, I don't really care about those spots, but second of all, I can see that on the volume profile. But yeah, I don't know. So like the one thing is that I still need to have these micro treasury yields up. I could maybe get rid of the 30 at this point, but I still want to keep the 2 and 10 up there. So I would have to be able to make room for that as well. So I don't think that I could have it just completely charts on the bottom. And honestly, like, you know, because I have like these charts over here, right? I just really don't see myself putting like the 30, the 10, and the 5 charts all over here on this screen. I don't think that people would really be interested in that, right? I'm just not sure it would fit. So for there's some other issues with that too, like for the camera to fit up there, I would have to like resize all of those DOMs, right? The way that I have it right now, the intention of the setup right now, in addition to just this is what I need to actually trade, is to have this 10-year chart over here with my indicators on it so that people will see it and see where it can be useful and, you know, be more interested in buying them, essentially. That's kind of what we're doing there. I must say that market order imbalance indicator is awfully good. Like, I'm starting to feel like that market order imbalance is as good, if not better, than cumulative delta itself. Also, this R squared is really useful, but I digress. Now, some of these other ones is kind of like, I think that we might need to zero in on the right filtering and stuff for that. I do kind of see something on here, like again, when I start to see these something happening in the level 2 changes, it kind of purports a change. It's interesting that the buys and sells, actually, you know what, we should change this one, which we can do. Level 2 changes. So there's this stacking and pulling total and difference. And that's not super useful. That one transparent. And that one transparent. The stacking and pulling isn't very useful because these tend to be pretty much the same. The total is interesting because you get like, you get interesting things. Let's just put it that way. But then there's also this difference, which is kind of more, what would I say, experimental. I don't know if the way that I have it, if it will show up as, oh, no, it's totally working. Wait, but shouldn't that be a histogram too? line. And I'd rather have it be a bar. I'd rather have it be a bar. Uh-huh. So there's one right there. So some aberration where there was considerably more activity on one side of the book than on the other side of the book right there. And then that kind of started that uptrend. And then you do kind of see this little like increase, like the activity decreased and then increased here. And that's when we got the reverse. Well, at least the short term reversal. By covering the bottom of the chart with it's easier to review your indicator. I don't really feel like it would be though, because I mean you're putting more charts on there. That was the first thing. If we would change the screen, let's not add more charts on there, right? I have enough charts on. But I will admit that it would be kind of nice if this was like right here. It's actually almost the right size too. It's just that then if I put that there, but then what do I do with the rest of the space and all sorts of things? It's kind of funky. One of the things that I've thought about from time to time is like, okay, this screen is for me. I don't know if the recommendations that you're making really help me, right? But I would like there to be a screen that's for you. A screen that is really intended for just the people viewing the live stream. And, you know, there's a couple of things about this screen. Like, I don't know if you guys are that interested in the micro treasuries, for instance. Right? And I often have that covered up. You know, maybe if I just had a big chart of ZN and a big chart of ES, that would probably be more interesting to people that are, you know, browsing around and just stop in. I remember watching someone, I guess I should leave nameless, who ran the bond clearing desk on the floor. I watched him live with remarkable results, and he only used the plain 5-minute chart. If you're talking about a guy at an institution, though, wouldn't he be able to see their institutional order flow too? Super skeptical that anybody could just have a 5-minute, that you could take just a 5-minute chart and make money from it. Even skeptical that, like, given context, that you could use just a 5-minute chart and make money from it. Don't believe it. Would need to see backtesting information to see that, for me to believe that. Because every little bit of work that I do just suggests that it's almost pointless even trying to do that sort of thing. Even trying to find an edge in that. But I'll spend a little bit more extra time here, but this kind of gets me going on to these things that I've been thinking about, which is like, I would like to change something about the way that we run this stream, but it's not just like the format of the screen, you know, it's more like maybe we should adjust what we talk about and what we do. Like, maybe right now, being super engaged in the market isn't the most useful thing. Like, maybe doing more programming stuff would be beneficial. I don't know. Kind of feel like maybe not though, because like when we get into programming, that's usually less viewers. I don't know. I just want to do something different. That's all. I guess the other thing that I could do is just YOLO it, right? Just always be YOLOing for the taking the reversal, and I would have caught in the big trade and then turned that into a YouTube short and everybody's impressed, right? Man. It's just I want to do something that moves the needle, right? I want to do something where like I can see the results of what I'm doing, because everything that I do is like maybe you might see some benefit from it a couple of years down the line. And that's all fine and dandy. Like I'm pretty good at doing that. But I feel like that it takes a psychological toll on you. Like you do need to see the fruits of your labor, because if you don't, that really starts to like hit your psyche, like at a subconscious level, I feel. Lol, Friday, while talking in your room, I wasn't paying attention and put size on along, not realizing that a report just came out and it cost me pretty. Ooh, ouch. Yeah. You know what? So going back, did I put it over here? Yeah, I put it over here. I made a scratch. It was like, what are some things that we can do? And I think part of this was like broader things. This is like, there's not just the stream, but then there's like other things that I can be doing, right? Like, once I've got these indicators kind of all spiffed up for you, is there, just thinking about that level 2 changes thing and like, can I change the way that looks? Well, but if it's a line, the line was better. Oh man, I feel so ADHD. Like stopping what I was talking about and going in and looking at that. What about square? Does square help? Maybe. Anyways. Stream focus. So we can change some things. We could try YOLOing and or passing combines. That probably would help the stream out, I think. We could focus on swing trades. Right? We could focus more on politics. I feel like that we already focus too much on politics a lot of the time. Or more about programming. Right? And then under programming, there's a bunch of different programming projects that we could do. Yeah, YOLO life will definitely get more people in here, but maybe not the best people, but people for sure. You know what, though, Paul? I really feel that those of you guys that are here and that are really serious about this and have been with us from the beginning, that I've really given you guys the best information. And maybe in the future, I might find some other stuff and we'll be putting that together too. Right? But as for right now, you have the best information that I have to give you. And you guys have been great. Like, I don't sit down and worry about you guys and your trading and like, these are the problems that the guys in my live stream chat are having issue with, and we need to make videos to help them address that and that sort of thing. I don't think that. If you're having those sorts of problems, then you should talk about them more so that I can kind of think about what kind of content I could create that would help you the most. But I don't really think that that's the case. And so I am starting to come to a point where I'm like, okay, like we've spent this whole time, what content can I make and what can I talk about and focus on that will help people the most, that will help my viewers the most? And I've done that. And now I'm kind of thinking it's time, we're kind of getting to a point where we just need to bring more people in. Well, that content is there. Now we need to attract as many people so that they can see that content, you know? I think a chart would help because they can relate. Focus is key. Yeah, well, and I do wonder what people think when they see this. When they see this chart, you know? I think when I refreshed the chart there, it might have screwed up the market order imbalance indicator a little bit. Another thing is that I don't really feel like that I am not super focused during the live streams anyways, you know, like I could just be super engaged in the order flow all the time, right? Yeah, most that will visit are newbies. It's about half and half actually. It's actually, by the way, I don't have anything. Oh, I do. 3. Huh. Okay. Anyways, I was going into metrics. I think I can go here on live. Peak average. Oh, maybe not. I was gonna say that, like, when I look at the numbers, it's like half and half. Half of you are guys that are like here every day, and half is like people that are just kind of popping in. And it looks like there's a lot of people will come in, see if I'm talking about anything interesting, and if I'm not, then they'll, you know, hop over somewhere else. Those are the exact people to teach before they go down spirals of YouTube trading nonsense. Yeah. Exactly. And how do you attract those people? You show them YOLO, you show them clips of you doing your best and yada, yada, yada. And you whisper sweet nothings into their ears about success. And then they come and they watch the content and they get the real deal. Yeah. But I guess, you know, the other thing is, though, is that I have a great deal of skepticism about how popular the live stream can actually get. I honestly, I don't know how we got to this point, like how the live stream became as popular as it has. And there was certainly some periods where, like, we were starting to get a lot of views and stuff like that, and then, like, YouTube changed. And so I kind of feel like that there's just something about the algorithm and the competition out there that, frankly, I don't know if the lives. So when I'm talking about, like, I need to grow the channel, probably that has more to do with which videos should I be making that are going to bring in more people. And I am starting to move in that direction. That, like, I have one that is like an order flow video. The order flow is the biggest thing, but it is like about a misconception and a thing that a lot of people are seeing. So that'll kind of help shore up the order flow side of things. And then the videos that I have after that are more general audience things. And like, how much money do you need to trade and that sort of thing. So I am kind of moving that way with the larger videos. Yeah, get some combines. So there's a couple of other issues I got to deal with, though, right? One of them is that I'm just not necessarily in the best mental state to be really YOLOing. I don't think that I'd be very good at it. If we were going to do combines, we would have to do ES, you know? So my issue with if I was going to do a combine is like, what kind of a strategy would I actually use? Should I just try and go with the price action sort of a stuff? It's just like, it's really hard for me to like really put my all into something if I don't have some data to back it up. You know what I mean? Like I could go and say, oh, okay, so here's these strategies that are really popular and we can just do that and be degenerate with it. But you know that I won't take it seriously because if I don't actually believe in it, you know? So that's kind of the thing that stopped me on the combine, is that I don't feel like that I would really be able to like it wouldn't feel genuine. It wouldn't be actually, it actually wouldn't be that interesting to that person. Unless there was something about it that I really thought there was something to it, you know? That's kind of what brings you to the point of YOLO. But I can't just come in and, you know, oh, I'm just going to YOLO. I think it's going to go up and I'm going to YOLO. I don't, well, maybe I'm being too, making it too complicated. Maybe we can do it. So we'll come in here. We will turn on the order column for ES. And turn on this and set it to experimentation. And oh, hey, that's actually fitting pretty good. Maybe we'll try YOLOing tomorrow. I don't know. But see, but anyways, I'm so ADHD right now, man. Like I'm telling you, it's just like chemicals and all these sorts of things are not at their best levels. Okay. But like there's this thing that's like, what should I do when I'm on the stream and what should I be focusing on outside of the stream? And I had been focusing on reading, but that's been kind of hard. Now I'm kind of like, maybe I should be doing some more programming. But there's these things, there's the swing trade approach. That might be a thing. Yeah, take your superior knowledge of what may happen and then just take a few big gambles on combines or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I do think I could pass one. I think that I should be able to pass it better than 33% of the time. While we have a few days, you know, like, we might see the world very differently 2 days from now, right? So but think about that. Maybe there's some other things that you would like to see us, I guess what I'm trying to get you to think about is like, I do view this as a team. Like, we're a team, right? And so it's kind of like, what would we like to put our collective effort during this stream into? YOLO trades? Maybe we could do it. Swing trades, you know? But maybe there's some other things that you think that we could be, you know, doing together as a team. It would be interesting too. So think about it in a few days. Yeah, we're a team. I mean, this stream would not be what it is without you guys in chat. And I wouldn't have learned all of the things without the group of us together researching and finding little things. Like the edges that we have, it was really hard digging to find those, you know? So it is a team effort. Yeah, take a few YOLOs and maybe pull a quick couple thousand out or something. Will be so. I mean, if I was able to pull some of the things that these guys do and like pull 100K out of this and then just swing trade that in a portfolio, that would be awesome. Every time that I try and do the degenerate gambler thing, it blows up in my face. So, I wouldn't be able to do it on treasuries. I'd have to do it over here because they don't let you do it on treasuries anymore. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna get going. I'm like way over anyways. See you tomorrow, and then it'll be wild stuff.